Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next lesson in the Su-25 Cadet Series. Before we start the actual weapons employments lessons, I want you to understand something about the theory, how you aim a weapon, and why a munition, a rocket, a cannon round does not always land where you aim it. Remember that your aim is a fixed point. Your aim is static. If you take up a gun, look through your aim, where your aim dot hits, that aim will never ever change unless you change your sights. No matter how strong the wind is, where you are aiming with your weapon is always the same. It is static. It does not change. As soon as you pull the trigger and the munition flies out, as soon as that munition is in free air, that munition around is dynamic. That means that gravity, ballistics, wind, altitude, density, day, night, temperature, everything in that environment, from the barrel of the gun until the target, that environment is dynamic. You cannot control that, but you can predict it or use it sometimes to your advantage. It is very important, as I said, to understand that only something that is not affected by gravity, something that is not affected by mass, will hit exactly where your aim is. Your aim point and hit point are therefore two wildly different things. What catches many perhaps not new comers to flight sim, but many other people also, is that they put the paper on the target, they pull the cannon round, or for the cannon, fires out, but the rounds lands short, that means before the target, long, that means after the target, or to the left or to the right for the target. And they do not understand why. The reason for that are the reasons I just said. Let's take, for example, with the cannon, the Gaucher 30-2 autocannon in the Su-25. It is, as everything else within our atmosphere on planet Earth, affected by mass and gravity, kinetics. Therefore, as soon as the round leaves the barrel, it is affected by air, temperature, wind, and as I said, if that barrel was long enough to go from your aircraft directly, physically, literally to the target, you would always be hitting where you aim. But let's say you put your paper on the target, but the rounds go to the right, and you don't understand why, because I had the paper on the target. Why aren't the rounds landing where I aim it? Because your aim is static, your munition is dynamic. Then, before you come in for a gun round, look around you. Are Are there any smoke that indicates wind direction, wind strength? Are there any chimneys? That is one of the reasons why I never ever fly without chimney smoke in DCS, because I want some kind of indication of wind. That wind indication is also very useful for landing. But I always take a look at the wind, because let's say we are here, we are the red arrow firing the cannons, the gun or the rounds lands to the right. I forgot to see that right next to it, his body is burning, his smoke is slowly going to the right. That means that instead of aiming here, I need to move my aim up against the wind, equal this distance. I need to move that. I need to aim over here, and then the rounds will land on my target if I do not move. But aircraft do not stand still. Therefore, the closer I get to the target, the closer, as you can see here, it is curving over like that. The closer I get, the sooner the curve of the rounds will hit the target. Therefore, I know, because I'm a seasoned gunner, I have shot many rounds with a rifle, machine gun, everything. I know that I spent, let's say, 3 or 4 seconds waiting for the rounds to impact the ground, observe the impact, correct myself to the left. That means if I did not move here, I need to correct that. But because I'm getting closer from I shot to the round's impact, I may need to aim here instead. The closer you get, the less impact the deviation has. So it is very important, because if you understand how the cannon rounds move, everything else is just way easy, much easier, because the cannon round is actually the hardest to aim, because it is so dynamic. The rounds are so light that wind easily affects it. I do not know if temperature affects a ballistic in DCS, but wind does. So in your dive, take a look at the chimneys or the smokes and correct for that. It is better to overcorrect, fire a short burst only to see where they land, and then correct for that, and then a half a second of burst that impacts the target. Okay, super. Now we know what affects your impact. When that is said, always remember, as we see over here on the left side, no weapon has an accuracy of 0 meters, 0 feet. That simply does not exist. If you read books about Gulf War, the 1991 one, the 2003, Afghanistan, Syria, Kosovo, Serbia, you will know that no weapon at all in existence have a accuracy of 0. Technically, accuracy is named CEP, Charlie Echo Papa. That means circular error probability. If you see a bomb or a aiming suite, aiming system, aiming sight, mention something that says CEP and then 5 meters. That means that at your aiming point in the middle here, expect a deviation of up to 5 meters. And those 5 meters are a radius. That means 5 meters to the right, 5 meters to the left, 5 meters short slash below, 5 meters long slash after. It is very important to understand that if you put your pipper on your target, let's say atmospheric tolerances are 0, there are no wind or anything, you put a pipper on the target, you pull the trigger, but the rounds does not impact exactly where you aimed. That is because everything that is built has some kind of inaccuracy, how it was stored, how it was manufactured, how it was handled, anything, just the slightest dent can make it go, let's say, 1 meter to the left over a range of 2 kilometers or so. Therefore, do not be surprised if your rounds don't hit exactly where you aim at. And remember that aiming point and your impact point is 2 different things. The first lesson for the weapons will be unguided rockets, or with the cannons. Can you hear that? That is a train with a double V8 engine. It sounds so good. The first lesson will be with the cannon, because I strong believer of start from the very bottom. Crawl before you can run. If you understand the dynamic surrounding using the gun, and if you can comfortably aim and hit with the gun, you are on your way to good stuff. So the first lesson with the cannon. Next lesson will be with the rocket. A person asked me on one of my videos, how do I best employ / use my rockets? It is a very good question, because a lot of people, even seasoned ground pounders on YouTube, does it completely wrong. They do not think about the weapon they have in their hands. They don't think about how the aiming system works. They don't think about the ballistic. They don't think, they just put the thing on the thing and pull the trigger. What I mean by that is that we are here in the lower right corner. We are coming in our Su-25 here. Suddenly, at 11 o'clock, we spot an enemy column moving to the left. There are 4 vehicles, and we have either a cannon or rockets. Let's say rockets. S8 rocket. Small, light, but super effective rockets. A irrational person and a gung-ho person, a Rambo, will immediately turn slightly to the left, go straight for it, aim and fire. But because rockets is a area weapon, it does not hit. Whoops. It does not hit like that. It does not hit in a circle. It hit in a elliptic shape, because when you fire, rockets are recoilless weapons. It does not produce recoil because it's open at the other end. What moves your aircraft is the exhaust gases flowing over your wing and the exhaust gases hitting the rocket pod itself. And you're also becoming suddenly very much lighter. That also affects your flight path. Therefore, your rockets will fall in this shape, no matter if you fire 2 rockets or 50 rockets. Remember that. So if you just turn to the left, put the pip on the first vehicle you see and fire, you will only use this much of your weapon's effectiveness. Everything before and after is wasted munition, wasted weapons effectiveness. And that is why many people say, rockets, they can't hit anything, they're just so lousy. No, with all due respect, weapons are only as good as the gunner. If the munition does not hit the target, it is because the gunner does not hit the target. Therefore, the most rational way, the best way, the tactical correct way would be to take your time, use your space, take it easy, fly the long way around, come in from the rear. That way you have all this time. It could be 1 minute, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 12 seconds. But you have this amount of time to psych yourself up to the attack, get your lasers on, get to air to ground mode, select the correct weapons and be committed to the attack. The reason why you want to attack alongside the column and from the rear is pretty self-explanatory. The first is because your weapons always hit in this shape. Always. There's nothing you can do about it, so don't waste your energy on fighting something you cannot win. This way, and if you aim at second vehicle, your rockets will cover all this area. Therefore, you will utilize the inaccuracy, the awareness, the inaccuracies in your weapon, how it's handled, and so on. That way you utilize this to have maximum impact, to cover maximum area per volley of rockets. And you may think, why not aim at the first vehicle? That is because when rockets fly out, they spread out vertically and horizontally. If you aim at the rearmost, the first vehicle for you, there's a high chance that too many rockets will land in this area, and that does absolutely nothing. It is better to cover this area thoroughly and then have the stragglers hit this vehicle, because if this driver sees 3 of his buddies get killed by rockets, he's not happy. So, and when you attack the rear of vehicles, you also attack and hit the rear armor, and rear armor is always weaker armor. It does not necessarily mean it is weak armor, but it's not as strong as the frontal armor. And many weapons is always pointing forward. If the enemy column is moving over to our position here, they are very focused in that direction, in this direction, and less focused on the rear. Therefore, if possible, always attack alongside, down the enemy column and from the rear, and never attack perpendicular to it. it's just a waste of time, munition, and energy. So this is the theory about using the cannon and the rockets, and don't forget that it also applies to dump bombs, to free-fall bombs. They are also affected by wind. They are also aimed using this method, and they are also best deployed down the column, not perpendicular to the column, because they also have small dents and inaccuracies built into them due to manufacturing and so forth. And through history, it has been proven that if a munition does not exactly hit on the aiming point, it is highly likely that it's either going long, that means above, or short, means below the target. It is for some reason very rare to go to the right or left. So this is the theory about unguided weapons employment. Next lesson will be practical employment of rockets. There will only be one lesson because employing S5 rockets or employing S-25 rockets, the method and procedures are exactly the same. It is highly different rockets, but the way you use them is the same. So therefore only one lesson per weapons category. Thank you.